Should we answer a couple of questions, or do you want to add some more?
Hey, no, no, go on, answer some questions. I've got nothing that important to say. I thought it'd just be funny, really, but
well, just try and be funny then. Anyway, I'm joking. Right. Okay. So let's have a look. We do have some interesting questions. Solar Dare here. It's a two-parter. When should someone consider that the carnivore diet might not be for them? Really don't want to be like Debbie Downer, but I feel like this has only drastically increased my stress and irritability, and this hasn't helped my condition, unfortunately. Well, I mean, that sounds like it's not working for you. I mean, we're always really honest here, but what else have you tried? That would be the first thing I would say. I know we've spoken a few times, or you've messaged and we've tried to help you. This way of eating tends to help people with anxiety and mental problems. I've never had anyone not say that to me. I've never had in 6 years. So you're the first person I've ever had that happen to. I do worry it's possibly other things outside of diet. Could be environmental, could be past traumas. I think, as I said yesterday, I think we spoke about it yesterday, the day before, some things are just really tough to get past. If you've got somebody that's had abuse in the past, or they've had a traumatic event, I'm happy to talk about this because I've had that. By the time I was 23, I'd lost my mother in horrible circumstances, my father, and I'd had a girlfriend die of breast cancer, and I went deaf. Right. So, that's quite traumatic. And I would say, even if I changed from my high carb diet to carnivore during that period of time, I don't think it would have made much difference, because what I needed was a sort of social support. I needed to be able to talk to somebody. And I will share something, because I think this is a really important thing. My GP did two things which don't seem possible nowadays, because I don't think the duty of care should be allowed to say this, but she actually said, this isn't as a doctor, this is as someone that knows you. I think your deafness might be that you just don't want to hear anymore, which I can understand that as a possibility. And she also asked me if I wanted to see a psychiatrist, because she didn't feel that the death of my mother had sort of hit me, if you know what I mean. I was making it an intellectual argument. Well, she was in and out of hospital for 11 years, but, I looked after her. There's nothing we could do. People worse off than her, and some children die at birth, and, all that sort of stuff. And she said, go to see a psychiatrist. So I did. I had no problem doing that. That's one of the things that's good about the NHS. You can get access to these sort of people. And what resolved it for me pretty much in 20 minutes was she gave me permission to be angry about it, to stop making it an intellectual argument and let it be an emotional one, and admit I didn't think it was fair, and admit that it was horrible what had happened, and be cross, be cross. Yeah, obviously I didn't rip the desk up and throw it across the room and smash all the windows, but I was cross, and I was cross about it, and I am still cross, because now I look back and I think a lot of what she was told, for instance, with the colon cancer, which was misdiagnosed as her needing to lose weight. I've lost Lee, sorry, he's bored me. I bored him. It was a 9 pound cancer growth, but she was told to lose weight, and she was being stuffed full of fibre. And she was given a protein shake to build herself up, and it was actually just sugar. I know that now, because what she was given, I know what it is. It was Ensure and Complan. Not good for you whatsoever. So anyway, sorry if that sounds a bit harsh. So it might be things outside the diet. But, I live in the real world. If you've tried it and you've tried all the other things, then maybe it isn't going to help you. But I just can't see any other diet actually helping more. That's the thing. I think this is it. I think it's the best thing that you can try.
Absolutely. And at the 3 macronutrients, there's only 2 that are essential: animal proteins and animal fats, essential fatty acids and essential amino acids. So that kind of tells you where you need to direct your focus. And I think sometimes women do need more fat than we think, because before I went higher fat, I thought I was already eating high fat. And because I wasn't very well, I needed that extra fat. And I think sometimes women especially don't go high fat enough. And higher fat can really help with mental, well, as you guys know, but I'm sure you've had these conversations before, Soledad. But perhaps if you haven't tried that, that's something you could try.
Yeah, I think there's not enough specifics there for me. I wouldn't know, how long have you tried? What exactly? Did you feel like any negative symptoms from that and change immediately again and change to this and you cut that out? Sometimes I was having a conversation with someone about this the other day. I think a lot of people that do have problems, they often abandon the diet before they get to the other side of things. And then they might come back and they just trial it for a little bit of time again and they have the same sort of symptoms. Often people are switching diets too quickly. That can bring about a load of problems. Just the body's having to switch gears, and it's just not healthy to go from, say, glycolysis to instantly, cutting out the carbohydrates, high fat. You might have a load of problems. I'd never eaten so much meat in my life until I went carnivore, but I think I got away with it because I didn't have my colon. I didn't have probably so much unhappy bugs down there sort of going, what the hell's going on? But it's difficult. I would like to know specifically what you've been doing and for how long. I think definitely look at other things like your lifestyle hacks, if you like. If you're eating perfectly, but you lay in, you don't move, the only thing you pick up is a remote. You're up till 3 a.m. every day, you're on your phone and you're on the internet, Wi-Fi, not grounded. Good luck with that. It might not help a lot of people. Honestly, that's a terrible way to live. Get yourself outside as much as possible, AM light, all the way till when it gets dark, block blue light, technology out the bedroom, breathing exercise, breathe through your nose, proper, oxygenate the body properly. There's so much to all of this. When I was out in Knoll Park, I don't usually do sort of jogging or any sort of long distance, but I'll sprint and I'll walk about. But I just fancied running about, as part of that video I put together was that. I felt so good, probably the best I've ever felt in my life on carnivore about, whenever that was, 2 weeks ago or whatever. And you just can't believe you still feel better. And it's being outside, it's being grounded, but getting more oxygen in the body and doing things that we would have done that makes you feel, yeah, I really lived that day. I made the most of it. I woke up early and I just did everything I could. And it's so rewarding. And so another thing is, if you haven't tried and you're like Stephanie's alluded to there, she doesn't do too well with the rendered down fats. I don't do well with liquid hot rendered fats. It took me a while to realize, you know what? I can't eat ground beef cooked all the way through like people eat them. I started eating it more raw. Feels so much better. And it's all the fat that's intact. It's not going down your system and your body's like, well, quick release bile. There's so much fat coming in. And it's a bit strange. For some people, it's just not what the body wants. Maybe try raw, maybe cut out dairy if you haven't done dairy. You could do a fat fast. You could do dry fast. There's so much you can do. But if you must, and you're thinking about introducing carbs, I would say I don't see the reason to consume any more than 20 total grams of carbohydrates. If you can, make it local, seasonal, and ripe. If you can ferment it, even better. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and I mean, today I put a Substack out, which was basically going over, do we need carbohydrates? And of course we don't. And I went into the 1999 report and the IDECG working group that categorically stated that the theoretical minimal level of carbohydrate intake is 0. I'm reading directly from my Substack. And I just went over every time that the official, like the Institute of Medicine, exactly the same thing, 2005. The lower limit of dietary carbohydrate compatible with life apparently is 0, provided that adequate amounts of protein and fat are consumed. And I also touch on the thing, there's a few other, by the way. I wouldn't touch carbohydrates. You don't need carbohydrates. I do also mention about the word macronutrient. Carbohydrate isn't a macronutrient because it's not a big macro. It's not big and it's not a nutrient. It's not nutritious. It doesn't offer me anything that I can't make myself. So I don't think it's a macro. I think fats and proteins are macros. I agree with Jonathan in the chat there. I think water is a macro because it's essential. We need it, and we need it in a pretty big quantity, not gallons. We don't need to be chugging it. The carbohydrate is not a macro. Simple as that. So there's only 2 macronutrients, or 3 if you include water. fat and protein. So anyway, hopefully that's been helpful. The Great British Meetup is what we're talking about. You've only got 24 hours to get the tickets. There's a link in the description on my channel, on Lee's channel. At the beginning, we put the QR code on which you can take a picture of, take you straight to the channel. Please get in there. So we've done the running order. We've talked about George and Stephanie's going to be on with their personal journey. Then you're going to have a comfort break. Then we've got Lauren who's going to be talking about years of malnutrition. We've got Lee, talking about, well, he's going to bore you about his bag and all that stuff. But no, it's great. Lee talks from the heart, which is great. There's a comfort break, and then there's me and Richard. And by 2:00, we're done. And then you've got the community, socializing, asking questions, talking to the guest speakers, the raffle. Like I say, there's lots of great merchandise you'll be able to, you could possibly win with the raffle. One of my books is up as one of the prizes. And then there's disco. So it's a great day. I hope you're going to enjoy it with loads and loads of food. We'll go back to the questions. So let's just remove that. We got another question here. I think this is fascinating, actually, from We Are All One. So yeah, I'll put it out to both Stephanie and Lee. I'll answer after those two. I've been carnivore for 2 years and feel great. There's a big clue there. Is there ever a time a lipid panel could be problematic on a 100% carnivore diet? You're muted, Lee.
Not really, unless you have genetic issues. I mean, other than that, I can't think of a single reason why you would have to worry. Let's face it, even if you looked at numbers, right, and those numbers were an indication that you should be slightly concerned, do you think that your body made a mistake somewhere along the line? Or do you think that maybe it just potentially takes some time, keep doing the right things, and things might shift? It might be other things that you're doing, too much blue light, not enough natural light, not enough sleep. Maybe you change your diet really fast. There's some other problems that we don't know what's going on because your body's trying to keep up. It could be anything like that. But honestly, I don't think that there is anything to worry about in a lipid panel unless you know that you have some kind of underlying genetic problem.
Stephanie?
Yeah. What I notice is that with the bloods, it just needs somebody to interpret it. So we all know about the LDL. The doctors are fixated on the LDL. Then they try to get you onto the statins. And the statins, the statistics are incredible. I mean, it's incredible that a drug with these statistics is the best-selling drug in the world and has sold billions, and every year sells tens of millions in the UK alone, just in the NHS. And the statistics that I'm talking about are that only 1 in 100 people benefit from a statin. And the benefit that those 1 in 100 people receive is an additional 5 days. And that's based on 5 years of taking the statin on research that was put out by the drug companies themselves. And ever since that study has come out, there's been no more statin research put out by the drug companies because there's so much damage that's caused by those statins. And it's all on, to dementia and many other things, because cholesterol is needed by the brain, by the nerves, all over the body. And so when you reduce it unnaturally, you diminish the body's ability to thrive. And, the research that finds that the longest living healthy people have a high LDL cholesterol. This isn't talked about. This doesn't make the front page of the newspapers. People don't know about this stuff. So that's what kind of breaks my heart. And so I think it's so good that we have you, Steve, and other people like you who are able to interpret the results that we get back from the doctor. Because, for example, there's the thing with LDL cholesterol, but also I was speaking to somebody yesterday whose numbers to do with their kidney function were different to what a carbohydrate eating population is, and may still be healthy, but they need to be interpreted in the wider picture with a carnivore or keto doctor.
Excellent. So I'm just looking at the chat. It's very lively. Don't forget to get your tickets. That's all I can say. I've just sent a private message to you, Lee, but I don't think you picked it up. So that's why I'm sounding a little bit. What's the word? That you need to look at the private message, right? One of the things I would say, just talking about my mother, she was told to eat lots of fibre, and that's what got her colon cancer worse and worse and worse, because it's a unneeded, unnecessary thing to add to your diet. She was having trouble going to the toilet because she had the colon problem. The more fibre they put in, the worse it got. And I would say the fibre was the thing that killed her, to be honest. It was terrible advice. I just think it's really terrible. So it's a carbohydrate that you can't digest. Right, so a carbohydrate we don't need. So I've done my scientific Substack today about it. It's not needed, and it's not digestible. So something that doesn't give you any nutrition, that you can't digest, people still recommend. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy that she was given that. So let's have a look at the next question, which is about bloods, really. So for me, apparently, carnivore over 2 years, not perfect, but still on it. Oh, and I will add my little bit about the lipids, but let's do this because it's a question. My MCV and my HC is stays low. Feel okay, but the numbers staying low concerns me. Can you help me, please? Firstly, why does that concern you? That would be the thing. So the mean corpuscular value is the MCV. That's the average size of your red blood cells. That's all it is. Small, medium, or large, right? You know, so it's low. Okay, right. Why does that worry? Why does that worry you? So the mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration is the other one. So that's how much hemoglobin, the protein that carries the oxygen, that's how much is in every red blood cell, or it's how dense your red blood cell is, and they're low. Right. So we're talking about red blood cells being slightly small and having slightly small amounts of, or small concentration of hemoglobin. Well, what does hemoglobin do? It takes iron around your body, transports oxygen, for instance. So are you breathless all the time? Are you fatigued all the time? Are you anemic? Are your gums bleeding? Well, you know, probably you'd mention that. You feel okay, apparently. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would prefer to have some other things to be able to talk about, because that's not a blood panel, that's just a couple of numbers. So I would like the iron panel, for instance, because we're talking about the hemoglobin concentration. What's your serum iron? What's your total iron binding capacity? What's your transferrin saturation? What's your ferritin? That would be really good. We could look at the hematocrit. We could look at RDW, the red cell distribution width. We could look at the reticulocyte count, how many red blood cells are being made, how long are they living. So all of these things, the ESR, so the sedimentation rate, or the CRP, which is your marker of inflammation. There's so many things you could add. But to be honest, I don't think it's problematic because you're actually saying you feel okay. So there you go. That's it, really. So let's have a look at the next thing. Right. Kent Carnivore is writing back to someone called Angus. LDL is not cholesterol. Absolutely right. Oh yeah, we talk about lipids. So yes, high lipids, high LDL, low LDL, bad cholesterol, good cholesterol. It's ridiculous, because cholesterol is a molecule that goes around your entire system. It goes through your arteries and it goes through your veins. There's no such thing as good and bad cholesterol. It's cholesterol. The same cholesterol in HDL, high density lipoprotein, is the same cholesterol in LDL, the low density lipoprotein. So that's the bad one, and HDL is the good one. But they've got the same cholesterol in. Amazing, really. So that's ridiculous before you even start. You don't get any plaques in your veins. You only get them in arteries. But it's the same cholesterol. That's a bit weird. So it must be something to do with the arteries, maybe, and not the veins. That does seem a bit odd. And also, it's not everywhere. It's always in the same places where there's high blood pressure, where the turbulent blood flow is happening, because blood has a laminar flow where it's at its best. And now you might think, well, why is he talking about blood pressure? Well, the pressure in your veins is 1/10 of what it is in your arteries. So maybe blood pressure has something to do with it. Maybe the turbulent flow of blood, which doesn't happen in the veins, only in the arteries, maybe that has something to do with it. So we've got to start being sensible. When people talked about cholesterol being a problem, that comes from a professor feeding a rabbit cholesterol dissolved in vegetable oil. Now that is ridiculous. That rabbit wasn't very healthy, but it's a bit like getting a lion and force feeding it grass, or getting a cow and force feeding it steak. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's the premise of the whole LDL hypothesis. I don't really get into that. So then when we start talking about apolipoproteins, apo is Latin for attached to. So if you get into those bits, it's still hanging on to the LDL or lipid hard hypothesis, because it's just the same thing under a different guise. So I don't really feel that lipids are particularly helpful. I would say when it comes to looking at incidences of heart issues, for instance, there was a recent study where they looked at 116,000 patients that were admitted to hospital with a heart issue, and they looked at their cholesterol on entrance to the hospital. About half, I think it was 52%, or no, it's 48% had normal or low LDL cholesterol. But that's pretty much nailed on then. So about half the people had normal or low cholesterol, and they came in with a heart problem. Some people thought, oh, I've got a gotcha here, because maybe those people were on statins. That's why they had low LDL cholesterol. And I pointed out, well, all you're saying is statins didn't help. They ended up in hospital. So anyway, the whole thing, I think, I really find it quite unbelievable that people still try to latch onto LDL as being a problem. Right. That's it. And LDL is not cholesterol. Whoever said that, absolutely. Happy, sexy, healthy. I'm just using the lingo that doctors use. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, yeah. And we all have to talk about things like LDL cholesterol, because people understand it. It's like talking about calories. It's a pile of rubbish when we talk about calories in, calories out, but everybody gets it. So, Papa Carnivore here is saying LDL is like a UPS or FedEx truck. It transports lipids and cholesterol. Fat soluble vitamins is another thing, and others, antioxidants, non-water soluble vitamins, and many other things. So to blame the truck and not the understanding the nature of the cargo is ridiculous. Absolutely right. So let's go back to getting rid of the questions, if you don't mind. I'll put on. Can't seem to hide that. Papa Carnivore. Oh, yeah, I just hide that. Right, let's put the banner up and we talk about this. So what are you looking forward to, Lee, at the event?
Just honestly seeing people that I've seen before, seeing new people, just networking, communicating, speaking with people that are on the same page, that think and eat and have lived a little bit like me. I know we've all had our own unique problems, but it's just nice to see loads of people there that are really grateful to actually be in good health again, because most of us have known the contrary, and it's just nice to go there and sort of celebrate good health with a lot of people and just eating loads of meat. I'm looking forward to the food, looking forward to the company, and yeah, we'll see about the speeches and that. Looking forward to seeing how that goes as well. But yeah, it's going to be a good time, I think.
What about you, Stephanie? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, really very similar, because being in the UK, a lot of the people that we know online are from America or from other parts of the world. And we don't have as many meetups and get-togethers in the UK. So for some of us, we actually haven't met or we don't know carnivores in person, especially those of us who live a little bit out of the way. And so to actually meet all the carnivores that we know from online, it's just going to be phenomenal. And to hear all the stories, not just from the stage, but just from all the people who are there. Because I find that every time you go to an event like this, you learn something. You learn about how people are doing things, or different tweaks people are making, or different illnesses that you haven't heard about that people have reversed with carnivore or keto. And so I think that, and the biggest thing is the thing that you mentioned earlier, is that the morning part is going to be all the speakers and the stay on stage kind of things. But then from the lunchtime, when there's going to be the hog roast and is it lamb that we got as well, and carnivore beef burgers and what have you, and then it's just going to be a party atmosphere, and we'll all be able to get to chat and meet up. So that's the thing again that I'm most excited about, is making those connections with people.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I mean, Carnivore Muscle's going to be there giving out hugs as well. And he's looking forward to seeing us all, which is good. Be nice to meet up. He had a recent birthday party and I couldn't get there, which was a bit frustrating. I think that's one of the things, to find like-minded people, because when you start carnivore, you feel, although there's over 1 million people eating carnivore, way over, people trying to make you feel like you're the only one doing that. You're weird in some way. But I tell you what's really weird is thinking that a box with cereal in, which has been processed and bleached and has to have vitamins added to it, that's not weird.
Yeah.
Yes, which is absolutely crazy. Or drinking a can of drink that's full of sugar, that's got 9 teaspoons of sugar in, and it's a fizzy drink. I used to love Coke. I used to think it was great, but now I realize what a ridiculous thing I fell for. Whereas now just water, which is about the best thing you can drink. It's incredible. And I think you get to mix. I mean, this event's going to have like 150 people odd, just on a one-day thing in a little farm, and you're going to be talking to people, and they're all on the same page. They've all gone through the same issues that we've all gone through, where your family thinks you're weird or whatever. What I think is really strange, and I'm going through this right now, my father-in-law's just been discharged from hospital. He doesn't listen to what I say. His wife doesn't listen to what I say. She's been ill a week, not eating properly, just doesn't listen. And that's the thing. I'm on no meds. My wife's on no meds. We've been a decade, both of us, without any medications, without any illness whatsoever. But people don't listen to us about health. And yet they continually complain about their health. They've got a stomach issue, they've got this, they've got migraines, they've got headaches, they've got skin issue. They're fed up with being overweight. They haven't got any energy. They're not sleeping very well. They're on tablets, or they've got to up the dose of their tablets. And, some of the things are so simple. Taking plants out of your diet is the biggest thing that you can do. I mean, I remember when I was keto and I thought I was doing such a great thing. As soon as the plants came out, I felt so much better. And now I'm eating meat and eggs, chicken and duck, and having a wonderful time. I just feel so good. And of course, we wouldn't eat plants if we was in nature. If you was put in any field or any outdoor place on the planet, you would not be able to be fully confident to eat everything out there. Firstly, people who think that the world is abundantly full of fruit trees that have fruit for 24/7 basically think the world is a supermarket, and it absolutely isn't. It's devoid of those sort of things, and you would really struggle to find something to eat. But I guarantee, if you were able to take down, an animal, you'd know that you could set a fire going, you could cook that meat, and you'd be okay. And to me, it's all really obvious. But I think that's the thing. We just need to get back to nature. Lee, great videos of you running around in a field, and when you said you're sitting there in the morning, this is what humans did. We just sat outside and we got the sunlight on us and we were in touch with nature. What we're doing, us three, yes, Stephanie, you look absolutely glamorous there. Lee, you look okay. But we're looking at the screens, and this isn't great for us. And all the people on YouTube, I'm not telling you to go outside. Please get your tickets first and then go outside. We've got to get back to what's really obviously good for our health. And I think that's one of the things you're going to find at this meetup is like-minded people. Sorry, there is definitely some sort of feedback happening.
We're the proper people that knows how the world works. That's basically it, isn't it? We're sort of meeting a bunch of human beings with their eyes open. It's like, right, how you doing? You know, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, and I think it's crazy. Yes, Andrea is saying I hate fizzy drinks. I don't hate fizzy drinks. I hate sugary fizzy drinks and fizzy drinks that are 0 calorie allegedly, and they have natural flavors. And when you look at natural flavors or antioxidants, you find out it's just another way of selling you cane sugar that's been processed or whatever. And the other thing is, even if you have fizzy water, sparkling water. Now, I have some people that say, I feel a bit bloated. Well, we take the sparkling water out and they don't feel bloated. I actually just had a glass of sparkling water. I'm not anti it, but we need to understand that carbon dioxide that makes the bubbles, that's put into the water and then we ingest it. So that's got to be processed by the body. It becomes carbonic acid and we've got to get rid of it somehow. So it bloats us a bit, not for everybody, but for some people. Carnivore Muscle is a Pepsi Max fiend, caffeine 3 and all that. So we're all different. But let's just be sensible about this. Let's have a look. Right, have we got any more questions? Is anyone spotted, or am I the only one doing all the housekeeping?
I can't see any questions actually. Just a lot of banter between people.
Papa Carnivore's mentioned about his late father-in-law, and so I think that's an interesting one because it can be so sad when you've got people around you who would benefit, and they're literally dying in front of your eyes, and they won't change.
Yes, I mean, this is so Papa Carnivore. When I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 3 years ago, that image of my father-in-law in a wheelchair with no legs in pain was what scared me straight, and I found Dr. Berry. So this is why I get passionate about it. All right, I don't share much and hear about my family, but I have recently because it's bubbled to the surface that yet again somebody's in hospital who won't listen to any decent advice. Well, my stepfather, who was actually my real dad's brother, so there was a genetic link there, had to have his foot amputated or part of his foot amputated due to diabetes. So I've seen that as well. I've seen an amputation that was down to diet. And also I get people that come to me for consults and we're able to reverse the diabetes. So we're able to stop that happening to people. So it's serious. It is a serious thing that we're doing. We're trying to get people to realize that these things that they're told that are, chronic and progressive, they're not. They can be reversed with diet. Lee, I think somebody in the chat was saying something which I've never heard, and I think is absolute not true, that meat rots in, they've got a bag like you, and the meat is always in there. That's just not true, because I've heard from too many nurses over 15 years of rehab, and it's always veg that's in the bag. It's never meat.
I've tried to push it. I've swallowed bits. I've said the same thing to Ken Berry when I was on his talking about all this stuff. If you look at carnivores, you look at dogs, you look at lions, you look at birds, eagles, whatever, do they sit there chewing all of their food because it's got to be broken? Nope. As soon as it can go down the hatch, well, straight into the stomach, like battery acid, liberated completely, absorbed in the small intestine, and there's water along with what looks like just like a liquid with dust, or just not even soaking it up. Until it will get to your colon, you reabsorb all that water, there's hardly anything left. Just a bit of waste. So there's no way. It's just not happening.
Absolutely. Right. So we're going to wrap up because I think we've run out of questions, but it's very nice that everyone is getting on, which is, yes, Emily, I find tap water gives me diarrhea sometimes, but if I drink bottled water, I'm fine, or sparkling water from the shops. Absolutely. Tap water. Whoa. I mean, I don't touch it. We have reverse osmosis here, actually. Evian seems to be my favorite. Absolutely. You see, mineral water, I think, is really good. I'm such a big fan of, the mineral waters. I'm very lucky because I live near Buxton. And you can go to Buxton, which is a spring water thing, and actually take a bottle and put it under the spring. They allow you to do that. Just take it for free. But most people don't. They're scared to do that. And they go into the shop and they buy it bottled for them. So, that's people, sadly. So let's get rid of that banner. And just for one last time, let's go through what's happening. So the Great British Meetup is happening on the 2nd of August at Sourdown Farming, Glastonbury. and it's a Saturday. It's going to be fantastic. We've got a whole load of speakers coming on. Do get your tickets. It's the last day. That's why we've been doing the lives all week, just to make sure that people know. It's going to be brilliant. We've got Stephanie, we've got Richard, got myself, got Carl, got George, got Lauren, got Lee speaking. We've got Jonathan, Carnival Muscle there as well. 13 hours, 30 minutes. Wow, look what you get. You get all you can eat. All you can eat, and it's all fire cooked, hog roast, beef roast, lamb roast, slow roasted on site, served fresh throughout the day. I mean, basically, they're going to lose a lot of money from me because that sounds like I'll be tucking in all the time. £41.88. There's camping nearby for it's £10. If you get your tickets, you're going to love it. I think actually. All the profits go to things like Healing Humanity, which is a movie about the carnivore way of eating. And then, in the afternoon, I can't remember what Carl said. He had some whiz-bang phrase about it. But anyway, in the afternoon, we'll be able to socialise. There'll be dancing. There'll be a disco later as well. So you'll be able to ask all the questions and have your selfies and talk to each other and all that sort of stuff, and find out that Lee is actually only 3'7", and it's amazing. There's links in the comments. And like I say, I'm going to put the QR code up again because we've got the technology to do that. Make sure you come and meet us all. And we've got 7 comments. I recently saw, let's have a look at this. I recently saw your shirt on Priming. My shirt on Priming. Could you briefly explain? What's my shirt on Priming? What does that mean? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I think it might be a short. What do you think? Do you think it's a short on Priming? Right. Priming, which Jonathan hates, but I will talk about. Let me get the QR code up while I'm boring everyone about priming. Let me just get that up.
Yeah.
But my shirt about. I haven't.
Right.
Let me get rid of that comment as well.
I'm bigger than Danny DeVito. There you go. Winning. Absolutely winning.
Right. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's get this in here. Sorry, it's so professional tonight. Right. Here we go. So the QR code is up there. If you want to take a picture of it, it goes direct to the website, just down there, just under the picture of Stephanie. Right. Priming. Yes, he hates priming. Dr. Cruz sussed out a better approach. Fair enough. And this is what I like about this way of eating. We can all have different opinions without being rude to each other, because I primed and I found it very helpful. So sometimes, and not always, I think Bart K primed as well. I'll get somebody who comes in for a consult and they say, I just can't seem to get my signals right. I don't know whether I'm leptin resistant, which is what Jack Cruz talks about. I don't know if it's my ghrelin. I don't know if I'm dysregulated because I've never eaten properly, but I don't know when to stop eating. I don't know what to do. Now, when you get to a point where someone says, I just never feel hungry, or I don't know when to stop, you could try priming. And priming is where you give yourself the permission to have 3 meals a day plus snacks, and you really eat like it's your job. Not eat, force feed it. We're talking about eating like it's your job. Now, when you have a medication, if you speak to the pharmacist, what they'd like to do but don't do is say, when you first take this, to double the dose. This isn't medical information. This is just for information purposes. And the reason many chemists and pharmacists think that is because that double dose has got a better chance of hitting the enzymes it wants to hit, because you flooded your body with it. Well, this is what is possibly behind priming, because you eat so much that your leptin gets kicked into action, or your brain's leptin receptor wakes up, or your ghrelin realizes, oh wow, that was great yesterday, we do need to eat that amount of food. Now, when Bart did it, I think he ate a ton of food, and in the first week he lost 4 pounds. When I got to day 9, when I did it, and this is all documented, I did a live stream every single week. I think it was 28 weeks in total, because I was doing other things like gaining weight deliberately, losing weight deliberately, and priming was one of the experiments we did. I got to day 9, 9 days in a row, not 9 weeks, 9 days. And then on the Sunday, I couldn't wait to talk to Coach Raymond, who was doing it with me. And I said, I've never in my life felt like never eating ever again. That's never happened. I honestly don't care if I never see any food ever. And I'm smiling about it, but that's the first time I've ever felt like that. and it definitely changed me. And now I can regulate my food much in a much easier fashion. I don't think about food like I used to. So this was 2 years into my carnivore journey, and I thought I was doing really good. And I was taking pictures of my food, sending it to Raymond, and he just said, "You don't eat very much, do you?" And that was it. I realized I was programmed by the size of the plate, what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, when we shouldn't eat, don't be a pig, this sort of stuff. I was programmed totally and utterly. So priming is a really good way for certain people to shift that, whatever it is, whether it's leptin not working properly, ghrelin not working properly, psychologically not working properly. It's a really good way to do a reset. I'm not saying that it fits everybody. There's also downsides. So if you're worried about eating lots of food because you're going to put on a ton of weight. So I had somebody came to me, they'd lost 80 pounds, but they were still thinking about food all the time and carnivore. And I said, we could prime. So hang on to your seats. They gained 20 pounds. They'd lost 80 and they gained 20, but then they lost 30. But what they also lost was their constant worrying about food, constantly thinking about food. Now that gaining of 20 pounds scares the living daylights out of a lot of people. And I totally get that. And her, she was absolutely really, really scared. But that's what happened, and I said, you got to trust the process, sticking with it. I mean, we're still friends and we still comment years later. I mean, 3 years later, still worked. It's great. So that's what priming did. Anyway, enough of that. That's been on the screen, that QR code, for ages. This is the last chance to get your tickets. So thank you for joining the live. I hope you've enjoyed the questions being answered. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Stephanie and Lee. I've talked too much, so I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Stephanie talk, let Lee talk. Keep that on the screen so you can take a picture, go and book your tickets. It's also in the description if you don't like using QR codes.
Yeah, you got 24 hours around abouts. If you can make it, you want to come, don't hesitate, get your tickets within the next 24 hours, and we'll see you there for a fantastic day that we'll all remember. Hopefully we can keep doing this every single year. So if you can't make it this year, we'll do it again.
Yeah, totally. Get your tickets, because it's not often we get to meet up in this way. There are lots of other events, but they tend to be quite speaker based. So you don't always get the chance to meet all the members of the audience and all the other speakers as well. So, and have a party basically, which will be great fun.
There you go. A party basically and great fun. I mean, I think it's going to be great. Yeah, Lee is way taller. Actually, I think Lee, you don't need ladders, do you? You're about 6'7".
Not when I've got my reaching wash system. No, I'm about 5'6" on a good day. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's good. And Stephanie, you've probably got a couple of inches of hair above you there as well.
Yeah, I've got a few inches of hair here, but without the hair, let's call myself 5'9", because I said 5'8.5" the other day, which is what I am. There were lots of jokes made, so I'm just going to call it 5'9". Let's give the hair a little bit.
Yeah, brilliant. And to YouTubers, thank you for watching. If you haven't booked tickets, I hope you enjoyed the question part. And don't forget, on Sunday at 7 p.m, I do a live with Richard Smith. Richard Smith is one of the people talking. You can see him there, but on the screen right in the middle, you'll see all these lovely people and everybody else. So thanks for watching.